Welcome to 2027 NFL Draft Prospect Profiles. In today's draft profile, I will be highlighting Texas Longhorns star wide receiver, Cam Coleman. If you are new to this series, or this channel, I'll explain to you how the prospect profiles work. In this series, I dive into the prospect's strengths, areas where he can improve, scheme fit, 5 team fits, pro comparison, and finally, prospective draft projection. So if you enjoy videos like this, or any other NFL draft, NFL, or college football content, please leave a like and please subscribe to the channel. Now, let's dive into this video. The 6'3", 210-pound former 5-star recruit initially committed to the Texas A&M Aggies out of high school, but then flipped his commitment to Auburn following the firing of Jimbo Fisher. Coleman caught the eye of many right away in his freshman season, reeling in 37 catches for 598 yards and 8 touchdowns, following it up with 56 catches for 708 yards and 5 touchdowns in his sophomore campaign. Coleman then transferred to Texas this past offseason, where at the time of recording, there is a ton of hype surrounding what he could do with the talent around him entering his junior season. Let's talk about the strengths of Cam Coleman's game first and foremost. The most outstanding aspect of Coleman's game is his physical profile. Coleman has incredible NFL size at 6'3", 210 pounds, but he doesn't move like a prototypical X-receiver. In addition to his size and his overall strength, Coleman has fantastic speed that opposing defensive backs have to account for as well. When attacking defensive backs, Coleman eats up cushions quickly, and his long, powerful strides threaten the defensive back immediately once Coleman gets them running vertically. This also makes Coleman a yard after the catch threat in the non-traditional sense, as he could physically run right past defenders with a full head of steam, and his overall power and strength. I still see some room for growth in Coleman's frame, without sacrificing any of his agility or movement skills. I believe he could easily play the same way at 215 or 220 pounds. What separates receivers like Jeremiah Smith and Cam Coleman from the rest, for me, is the way they move at their size. Smith and Coleman are alpha X-type receivers, but move like slot receivers. On top of Coleman's physical strength and speed, he is fully in control of his body through each rep. Coleman's overall body control is one of the most underrated aspects of his game, in my opinion. Coleman makes difficult catches through contact, high points the football extremely well, is able to stay in bounds on difficult sideline catches, exercising his spatial awareness, track the ball over each shoulder, and make difficult adjustments to off-target or underthrown passes, which also in turn shows off his impressive catch radius. Staying on the topic of Coleman moving extremely well for his size, Coleman is a very good and believable route runner. He displays good stem manipulation by threatening the corner's leverage before changing direction. Coleman also runs his routes with good tempo variation, meaning he doesn't run every route at just one speed, and he decelerates very well for his size. And lastly, Coleman displays good hip fluidity in his ability to sink and change of direction in his route running. Switching gears to the areas where I think Cam Coleman can improve on in the 2026 season, sticking with his route running, as I just stated, I think Coleman is a very good route runner, but his route precision could use some refining. In some routes, you could see rounded breaks, lazy or slower releases, poor stems, and poor depth variation. I would like to see more sharpness and crispness out of Coleman's routes for the Longhorn this upcoming season. I would also like to see some development in his release package as well. If Coleman can become excellent against the press, then he will truly become a complete receiver at the line of scrimmage. Consistency and production are 2 things that I would like to see an uptick in from Coleman this season. Now that he truly has some extremely talented players around him, the production should take a big jump forward, as I would expect to see north of 1,000 receiving yards and close to or over 10 receiving touchdowns. Finally, Coleman's hands are great. He's able to make the tough catches far away from his body and through contact. But I would like to see less concentration drops, better late hands against defensive backs, and more consistency in finishing through the catch point. When discussing scheme fits for Cam Coleman, I would like to see him get vertical on the boundary. Cam Coleman is at his best when he can get momentum behind him and use his physicality to win down the field. I would love to see him in a modern spread offense that prioritizes making the defensive backs retreat rather than press up. Here are 5 teams that I think would be a great fit for Cam Coleman at the NFL level. 1, I have the Chicago Bears. The Bears have Rome Odunze and Luther Burden, but adding a dynamic boundary threat like Cam Coleman to a Ben Johnson offense would definitely get Caleb Williams over that 4,000-yard hump. Next, the Los Angeles Chargers. I feel like the Chargers have a lot of really good receivers, but no true established alpha X receiver. That Herbert to Coleman deep pass would feed families. Third, I have the Buffalo Bills. This is a similar sentiment to the Los Angeles Chargers, giving Josh Allen a dominant, big-bodied vertical threat that could win down the field might put the Bills finally over the edge. Next, I have the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, how fun would this one be? In my opinion, the Raiders are one boundary alpha receiver away from having one of the most exciting offenses in all of football. And finally, I have the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins added a bunch of guys to their receiving room this offseason, but it still remains rather uninspiring. Getting a clear-cut number 1 would give us more clarity in the direction of this full-scale rebuild. My pro comparison for Cam Coleman is T. Higgins. Sure, DK Metcalf is an obvious choice due to the physical strength and play style of Coleman. But Coleman doesn't possess that raw, physically intimidating strength that DK has. I think Coleman and Higgins are similar due to their physical frames, long arms, powerful long strides, vertical ability, catch radius, and overall boundary profile. I do think Coleman is a bit more explosive and possesses better lateral quickness and agility, however. Overall, I think Cam Coleman is in a unique situation heading into the 2026 college football season. He has certainly shown flashes of unbelievable ability, but the consistency has lacked. But he is now in a position to take over one of the most exciting offenses in the country and show more of that untapped potential. All the tools are in the tool cart for Coleman. We have seen them all. We just need to see some of them be refined, which is expected. But if things go as promised this season for the Longhorns and Cam Coleman, we could be looking at a top 10 pick in the 2027 NFL Draft.